mark.
On your mark.
Get set.
Get set.
Now ready.
Ready, go.
Provocative, engaging, and usually quite a lady.
Okay, they're asking for it.
Deborah, go.
The election is over, and now we move forward. If you don't like that Donald Trump is president, fine. But don't wish failure for him. Don't hope that because you don't like him, that everything goes badly, that everything goes wrong. Donald Trump, win or lose, is the president. And what happens under his administration will impact us all. This is about the nation. This is about our country. This is not about Democrats winning, Republicans losing, Republicans winning, Democrats losing. You've got to get this through our very thick heads. When it's all said and done, this is about the United States of America. It really is time for you to free your mind from the shackles of lies and deceptions. If you have embraced the idea, if you have internalized the numerous lies that Donald Trump is a dictator, that Donald Trump is a fascist, guess what? He is not. The people who repeatedly told you this, they knew this. They knew it full and well that he was neither of those things. But what they were counting on is that you would be so gullible, that you would be so emotional, that you would not be analytical about anything, and that they could continue to spoon feed you these lies and you'd believe it. That's what the Democrats were counting on. Thankfully, more than a few Americans, those who didn't support him the first time, said, wait a minute, none of this is really making sense. And on top of that, they keep telling me that inflation is really not a problem here. They keep telling me that my cities are not being filled with illegals. And I see differently. No, it's not my lying eyes. It was their lying lips. That's the difference. So please, just free your mind of all of this. President Trump, he has shown his commitment to this nation, even when the powers that be turned the system against him. Donald Trump still said, you know what, I'm going to continue to fight. I don't have to run down everything that happened. You know what happened. You know that they attempted to imprison him, to bankrupt him. And I'm not saying who, because we really don't know. But yes, there were attempts to kill him. So this man who clearly does not need anything from this government said, you know what? I'm going to keep going. I'm going to do it big. And he did exactly that. You have to also ask yourself some questions. Of the many people in our government, elected officials, who kept telling us how bad Donald Trump is, how he's going to hurt us, a lot of these very people, they came into government as regular Joes, and they are leaving government as multi-millionaires. Who really had more to gain from the government? Ask yourselves that question. It's an important question. But Donald Trump, he stayed the course, and no, he didn't have to. And I truly believe this. No one else was capable. Yeah, I said that. No one else was capable of going up against the forces that he faced. No one. But it was all about this nation's future. And for one, I want a bright future for this country. And if you don't believe any of this, you have to ask yourself some questions. Why is it that our borders were just flung wide open? Don't tell me because there were just a bunch of suffering immigrants who were fleeing death threats and all kinds of things in their home countries. And we're the land of opportunity and freedom. And oh boy, our President Biden. He was just so kind to let them in. Come on now, people. You know as well as I know that that was not the reason why. We can sit down and go through, and I can list at least 4 reasons right off the top of my head, but the bottom line is they opened those borders, allowing millions of people in, and actually conservative estimates put it at around 15 million. Just go and Google that. I think it's probably closer to 30 million. I really, really do. But it didn't matter. So here comes Donald Trump, who, by the way, said it in his first term that any nation that does not control its borders is no longer a sovereign nation. Facts. Facts. Now here's Donald Trump standing up saying, World Health Organization, you will not control our response to any pandemic. But Joe Biden said, here, you tell us what to do. Who does that? Who does that? Joe Biden did it, and Donald Trump just said, no way. Look at NATO. NATO for years has sat back and just manipulated and used the United States to their advantage, required to pay 2% of their gross domestic product in order for us to make available military protection if needed. They haven't done anything. Sat back, laughed, kikied, as they say, while we continue to pay. Trump said that's it. He said that the last time, and they did pay that 2%. Now he's saying, you know what? You got away for so long doing nothing. I'm going to kick it up to 5%. And they can afford it. They can afford it. But guess what? 5% of those nations' GDP being put into our coffers. Guess what that would mean for the United States, for our economy? It would mean a lot. American taxpayers, we have financially and militarily taken good care of these nations, many of which don't even really like us. They just use us. This is not about a divisive tone. This just is really about fairness. You want to play? Then you're going to pay. And I like that. I like that a lot. All of the ridiculous trade agreements for years that have festered. Why do you think that over the past 40 years at least, we've watched the American manufacturing economy just dwindle? Companies just fled, going wherever they wanted in the world, still getting benefit of this nation, cutting their costs using cheap labor worldwide, and we did nothing. And then other countries pumping their products into our country. How much are we sending? How much are we trading with China? Very little. Very little. You pick up any product you've got sitting around. Made in China, made in Taiwan, made here, made there. Where's made in USA? We don't really see that. Oh, but we're going to start seeing that. Yes, we are. President Trump, he said, you know what, these trade agreements, they have been ridiculous. And he's going to change that. Who can be angry at that? Who could want that to fail? But if your mind is still shackled by lies and deceit, you probably are thinking, oh gosh, I hope he fails. He's not failing. We would fail. This nation would fail. We can't want that. And then that ridiculous Paris climate agreement, which was stupid. I remember when Obama committed hundreds of millions of dollars to that. Biden came right back around, Trump pulling us out. Biden saying, no. They know what's best. It's for the good of the world. And Trump just said, it's over. No more American tax dollars going to push an agenda that ultimately hurts America. This is all just common sense, people. It's really just common sense. You've got this lust for EVs, hurting the American automaker. Now you could say, well, Deborah, it's coming. Ultimately, it's coming. But even if it is coming, electric vehicles, it's not here yet. We have no business in the world, pumping hundreds of millions of dollars into some globalist account to promote this mess. And then even when you think about the batteries for these vehicles, who's making all the batteries? It's China. So we're going to pay for China to continue to break down our own economy? Makes no sense. Makes no sense. And then they talk about we need a clean environment. Those lithium batteries are some of the most filthiest batteries anywhere. That lithium is bad. It's bad. And then I always wonder this, and I've never really heard anybody address this. The battery life, when those batteries are dead, what do we do with them? Where do they go? Well, you just recharge them. You can only do that for so long. Once maybe. But ultimately, when they're of no more use, where do they go? Nobody cares. So I'm watching television and I see a commercial for EV and they're touting you'll get up to 315 miles on a charge. Okay. So where do you recharge? Where do you recharge? So you sit on the side of the road waiting. You're looking for charging stations. Don't take me down that rabbit hole. The point that I'm making is right now in the year 2025, what we need to be doing as Americans is shoring up our industry, our automotive industry. And if we transition to EVs, we do it at a pace that is suitable for this nation, not under the directive of some globalist cabal under the banner of the Paris Trade Agreement or Climate Agreement. No, we don't acquiesce to their demands. We're the U.S. We do what's in the best interest of our nation and of our people. I'm thinking about free speech. Look at what's happened with all of these tech giants migrating over to Donald Trump. And you can raise questions all day long about, well, what are they really after? Those are legitimate questions, and I have no problem with that. But for the time being, if they are willing to say, you know what, we're not going to squash the viewpoints of those that we disagree with anymore, that's a good thing. And you know what's funny? I was thinking about this. The outrage that we've seen from all of these talking heads, MSNBC, CNN. Oh my God, look at what you see. Donald Trump standing there with Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg and blah, blah, blah. All of these tech giants. It's horrible. This is terrible. They don't really believe that. How do I know that? Because they had no problem at all when the Biden administration had government officials working in these tech companies. Zuckerberg has already admitted it. When I say working, not on the payroll, but directing what they're going to do, what they're going to censor. They didn't have a problem with it. Never, ever heard a report about it. Let me tell you why they are so critical of it. And this is really the reason. The left really believe this, that they're so much smarter than everybody else. They felt so good that all of the smart guys, the tech guys, they're with us. They cannot believe that these same tech people are now saying, you know what, we're going to stand with Trump. But they're the stupid rubes. How could you guys stand with them? They're angry. They're insulted that we regular people who have really no real say in the press, that the tech people would say, okay, we're going to give you your platforms back. We're going to remove the gatekeeping. Go ahead, say what you want to say. They find that appalling because they're the smart ones. The tech people are supposed to be with them. Give me a break. As Americans, we cannot forget what it means to be free. That sounds cliche. It may even sound trite to some people. I'm so dead serious about this. Freedom is everything. It's everything. You look over in other parts of the world. Yes, even in Europe, where people are being arrested for free speech. For free speech? Huh? And we were very, very surely walking down that same path. Who would have thunk it? I'm serious. Who would have thought that because you decide to quietly stand outside an abortion clinic and pray, because you're wearing a t-shirt at some national museum that says, I'm pro-life, you could be arrested? You could be imprisoned? That was happening. So here comes Donald Trump pardoning people, pro-lifers, who were jailed because they expressed a viewpoint that the left doesn't like. I was just watching some videos of Bevelyn Williams, a young mother, married woman, a family who decided to exercise her rights as an American and stand in front of an abortion clinic praying and saying, babies' lives matter. She was arrested under the Biden administration and put in prison. Nobody cared. We didn't see the news reports about it. Kamala Harris never mentioned a word about it. Oh, Donald Trump just freed that woman. Thank God for that. And the video of her reuniting with her child and her husband, oh my God, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. So we can't be wishing failure on Donald Trump, because that is failure for us. Now, look at all the lawsuits right now. The lawsuits to keep illegals in the country, in our cities, in our towns, yes, including violent ones. They'll tell you, no, they can take the violent ones. That's a lie. They don't want any illegals to be removed from their cities or their towns, even from their states. Governor Pritzker and other governors too, running into court saying, we've got to stop this. This cannot happen. Vowing to fight Tom Homan if he decides, and he has decided, to remove the violent illegals first. And I'm loving the plans. Go get them. If they're at wherever they are, go and get them. Can you imagine? Can you really think about this? People who have been elected to serve the citizenry saying, I don't give a damn what the citizens want. We're going to protect people that shouldn't be here. We're going to continue to give money to those who shouldn't be here. You've got American citizens who are struggling. Well, tough luck. That's really what they're saying. We've got bigger fish to fry and to protect. And that's exactly what they're doing. So if it's okay with you that illegals are in our country doing whatever the heck they want to do, then I guess you don't like what's happening. If you've got lawmakers, and we do have lawmakers who are fighting to protect men so that they can be integrated into women's spaces, such as in sports, but even in prisons, they think that's okay. And Donald Trump is saying, no, you're not going to do that anymore. That's over. What is it about that you would say, I don't like it? I hope he fails at that. Who says that? Who believes that? I was watching earlier, I think that was yesterday, President Trump sitting there signing his executive orders. And I love the one about declassifying the files regarding the assassinations of John F. Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy, and Martin Luther King. Those are important. We do need openness. We do need transparency. It's been over 50 years. I always thought that after 50 years, they just open up the files and let people have the information. They never did that. Donald Trump said people have a right to know. And here we go. The J6ers. That's controversial for some people. It's not controversial for me. I'm glad that they've been pardoned. And I question the jails. Reportedly, there are some jails or prisons around the country that are still saying we're not letting them go. Well, they should pay a price for that, most notably their jobs. But what about those that killed all of those police officers? I actually had this conversation yesterday. The person I was talking to said, but those J6 rioters, insurrectionists, they killed 6 police officers. No, they did not. No, they did not. No. The only murder that happened was a police officer, a Capitol police officer, killing a protester, a woman by the name of Ashley Babbitt. She died. She wasn't armed. She was an American veteran, small woman. But the Capitol police officer said he felt threatened. And Trump, I hope they bring him up on charges. I really, really do. So we've got a very fast-moving society right now. Under Donald Trump, things are being flipped, things are being changed, things are being corrected, and that's a good thing. Did you see President Trump speaking before the World Economic Forum? If you have not seen that video, I implore you, please go and watch it. That was one of the most powerful things I have seen in years. Seriously. You know about the World Economic Forum. You know they have their annual meetings in Davos, Switzerland. You know these are the powerful people of the world. You know that these are the globalists. You know that these are the very people, Klaus Schwab and others, who are elected officials, not just here in the United States, but around the world. They attend that meeting. They bow, they curtsy, they promise, yes, we'll do exactly what you want. And here was Donald Trump speaking to them. And he told them, we have wasted the United States $8 trillion yielding to your globalist agenda. That is over. And I was like, I'm serious. I'm like, what? He looked them straight on and he told them, we're not playing this game anymore. And those stone faces, they looked and you know they were not liking it. And he said, your agenda is so closely tied to the rate of inflation in the United States. We're done with it. No more Green New Deal. We're out of it. This electric vehicle mandate, it is over. He said the United States has more gas and more oil than any other country on the face of the planet. And yes, that does include Saudi Arabia. He says, we're going to do our own thing. We're going to utilize our own resources. We are going to drill, baby, drill. They have to hate that because they hate all of these natural resources. They want to do away with them. They want us to go electric. Donald Trump said no. God has blessed this nation with more natural resources than any place on the face of the planet. And they've got our minds all twisted up. Oh no, we can't drill here. We can't drill there. We'll ruin the world. We'll ruin our planet. You won't ruin the planet. The planet is actually sustainable. The word that they love most, they don't like to apply it when we talk about our own planet. Remember when the big oil spill happened down in Louisiana a few years back? And report after report after report. Oh no, these waters, they won't be fishable for generations. Plants and wildlife, they won't come back for generations. And they had all kinds of really smart people trying to do whatever they could to clean up the oil spill. I remember the actor Kevin Costner. He brought out 2 huge machines. And you know what? I appreciate that because he was trying to do his part. None of that worked. And then guess what? Guess what happened? Well, the oil started to dissipate. It started to disappear. What's going on? You know what was happening? Living at the bottom of the ocean is a very, very tiny microscopic amoeba. And that amoeba loves one thing more than anything else. It loves oil. These amoeba gorge themselves on that oil. That was a significant aspect as to why that oil spill cleared. They're down there fishing today. Plants, wildlife, everything's back. I thought it would be generations. I thought that the economy in Louisiana would be ruined. But see, that's what happens when man thinks he knows more than God. God already knew that this planet should be sustainable, regenerative, able to rebuild itself. Now, that's not to say that we shouldn't be good stewards. Yes, of course we should be good stewards. I got to throw a little Bible in here for you. That's why when you go back in Genesis, when God was creating the world, and even when he was about to destroy it with Noah, that's why all of the plants and the animals, they were able to reproduce. It's not a coincidence. This is what the planet is. It is sustainable and regenerative. All right, so let me move on because I've got just a few more minutes to get some more of this in. I want to go back to the border because right now, as I'm recording this, our U.S. military is down there rebuilding the wall. Yes, rebuilding the wall that Joe Biden tore down. Donald Trump actually had put up a lot of that wall, and he had to fight, and you remember this, tooth and nail. The Democrats did not want a wall up. They hated the idea, but he got as much up as he possibly could in the face of those who were fighting to stop it. But right now, as I'm talking, our military, they're down there rebuilding the wall. What's interesting, President Biden, he had heavy-duty equipment out there. They were tearing that wall down. He sold all of that wall material for pennies on the dollar. Pennies on the dollar. Think about that. Our president, former president, thank God, said, no, we can't secure our country like that. Tear it down. Get rid of it. I don't care what you do with that material. That was a huge loss. So anything, it appears, anything that he could do to make things worse for the incoming president, he did it. But Donald Trump is not one to be deterred. Jumped in. What has he been in office? I know it's not a week yet. Look what's happening in this country. We've got tax cuts that are coming back for workers, for families, for domestic producers and manufacturers. In his speech to the World Economic Forum, he talked about that. He said, yeah, we're going to get tax cuts more for our workers and for our families. He said, but huge tax cuts for manufacturers, for companies. Now, let me say this. I guarantee you, the left will tell you, this is all about taking care of the rich. That's all he wants to do is give tax cuts for the rich. Don't believe the lies. Free your mind of the lies and the deception, because what he said was, you are going to want to come back to America and make your products here because you're going to get huge tax advantages for doing so. This is not about making the rich richer. It's about making the nation wealthier. It's about creating more jobs for you, for me, and for anybody that wants to work. Now, they won't present it that way, the left, our mainstream media. They'll try and pile on, oh, he hates you. He's going to take away every advancement that Biden gave you. Yeah, keep looking for those advancements. You're not going to find them. So these are truly exciting times. They really, really are. Oh, I'm sorry. I can't even end this podcast. There's so much here, but I'll make this like the last one. President Trump just signed another executive order There was $2 billion that was earmarked to aid illegals. $2 billion. Not a big amount of money in the grand scheme of things, but it is a lot of money. President Trump just said, nope, we're going to redirect that money to the people that are still suffering in North Carolina. See, we forgot about them. Yeah, you've got people down in North Carolina who are still living in tents, who are still living in makeshift shacks. Yeah, they are. And the president says, why in the world would we give that kind of money to illegals? That money is going to Americans who are suffering. And they got a double hit of suffering when FEMA bypassed a bunch of them. That investigation is still going on, and I can't wait until they get to the bottom of it. So finally, this is for everybody. This is for both supporters and detractors, non-supporters of President Trump. All of us, we must give President Trump some grace. We must. And by that I mean every effort that he makes will not be successful. You've got more than enough people sitting in Congress right now who are determined, who are committed to his failure. You even have some Republicans who are saying, well, I'm going to show everybody. I'm not going to do everything he says. It's not about doing everything that he says. It's about doing what's good for the country. But there are those who see their personal political advancements as far more important than what's good for the advancement of our country. So, yeah, he's going to have some failures. Make no mistake about that. But we have to give him grace. We must give him grace. We can't turn on him and say, oh, what a big mistake this was. No. All you have to do is just go back. Look at what he's fought for. Look at what he's done, even in his first administration, and what he's committed to doing and what he is already doing here in his second term. Give him grace. You're giving ourselves, you're giving our nation grace. It's all about hope, and it's all about the betterment of our country. So, hey, thanks for listening. God bless you, and God bless this great nation.